G'day reefers, I'm Cameron the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're back for part 2 of our series Interstellar Installation. In the last episode we installed this beautiful Cade Peninsula 6-foot tank in the office here at Sirius Optics. And today we're going to be doing the Aquascape and installing the Radions above this tank. So let's blast off for Interstellar Installation. Let's have a look at the tank so far. As you can see, we've already got some of the fish picked out for this tank. When you're cycling a tank like this, it can be a little bit, let's say, boring or frustrating looking at a bare, empty tank. So, some of the fish that are going to be here are already on the glass. We've got head of security, he's a triggerfish. The gardener is a beautiful blue tang. Head of customer service, also called tiny tang, is an olivaceous tang. We've got the head janitor, which is a little red spot blenny, and warehouse picker is a chorus wrasse. So these are some of the fish that will be going into the tank. But let's look underneath where the real progress has been made. We have a prime fuge which has been installed above this section here where we've got our keto. Now it's probably, I don't know, it's a small amount of keto at the moment and it's tumbling, and hopefully in the future, especially with this light, we'll find it will occupy the entire space in this section. Our filter socks are, as you can imagine, a little bit dirty. One thing I should mention is the water has cleared up beautifully. When we left this tank last time, the water was cloudy from the sand that we put in. We have a little bit of rock which is from a previous tank, and we've got our RO DI water in this section, and we have an automatic top-up system, so it is keeping the water level consistent in the sump. Our skimmer, which is on the other side, is doing what you'd expect, which is not very much. There's really very little bio-load in the system at the moment. And the plumbing, return and drainage is all looking exactly like it should. So we're going to start with the Radions, and we've got a special trick to ensure that the Radions are positioned perfectly over this tank. So let's check it out. We're going to mount 3 XR15 Pro Gen 5 Radions over this tank. Now the focus of this tank is going to be predominantly on the fish. We are installing for the same client a tank which is going into their home, which is going to be devoted more to coral, but this peninsula, this Cade tank, is going to be predominantly stocked with fish, more than coral. So the XR15 Pros are going to be perfect. 3 spread evenly across our Radion rail, which is going to be suspended above the tank. So we have our rail, we have our 3 XR15s, we've got our suspension kit which we opened up to have a look at. We have some spring toggles which are going to ensure that we have enough strength to suspend the weight of the rail and the lights. And we have our 3 RMS slides. These are going to allow us to attach the Radion lights to our rail. So we're going to start by marking out exactly where we're going to attach our suspension kit so that it can hold up the rail. With our Radion rail suspension kit, the actual rail is held up by 2 points in the ceiling and the wire cables attached to the rail. Now, those 2 points in the ceiling have to be lined up perfectly with the tank, and they're going to be dead center. And so, for this purpose, we have ourselves a laser level. Now, what this does is it shines a laser beam down the center of the tank so that we can clearly mark out with great precision the perfect center line for our Radion rail. So I'm going to start by ensuring that it is dead center. So I'll just measure it up. So I'm going to mark the end of the tank and then we'll go do the center line. Okay, so we now have our 2 points that our Radion rail is going to be suspended from. So 1, 2, and now it's time to get the drill and make some holes. We're going to start by just putting through a small hole, so with a tiny drill bit, and I'm just going to ensure that there's no stud through on the other side of the plasterboard. If there is, then it's easy. I'm just going to use a screw. If there's not, then we'll use our spring toggles. So before I drill, I'm just going to put our net cover back on, and I'm going to put a drop sheet down. If I do have to make a larger hole for the spring toggles, which I almost certainly am going to have to, it'll be quite messy, so just something to catch all the bits and pieces that's going to fall through. Just as I suspected, there's nothing through the other side, so let's use a spring toggle. So I want the smallest bit possible that's going to allow a hole big enough for this to pass through. So I'll start with this one and see how it goes. Alright, let's see if our spring toggle fits. Nah, not even close. Bigger again. Okay, so once we're through, push up, let it spring out. And now with our Phillips head bit, perfect. Done. I find this drop sheet a little bit interesting because looking at it now with the drop sheet on it, that's actually pretty much what the tank looked like when we first filled it up. Our next stage is to use these little chrome observatories, and over the cable, a very easy very easily screw onto these parts. Simple. Now for our radion rail. So let's have a look at what we're going to do. I'll do it right here. Importantly, you get these two pieces that are going to slide in from either end, like this. I always like to have the cable fed through on the inside. So we'll feed this through like so. Sit it there whilst I do the other one. And I'm going to tighten up this little screw at the bottom. We can adjust these at any point. Just leaving this one loose so we can slide this along easily. I like to have these arches on the outside too. So now what I need to do is ensure that the rail is centered over the tank and that we have our cables positioned so that they're in a perfect vertical before we tighten them into place, and that it's also level. So the XR15s, I've got their fan on the top. I'm going to leave the power supplies in the box and just do them one at a time. I'm going to put the RMS slides on and then we'll slide them onto the rail. Okay. Now let me think. If we do it this way, the rail will go through like so, and we'll have all our cables out that way. Alright. So this is probably the main reason why I haven't tightened the last screw on the cabling system, stopping the Radion rail from sliding side to side, because I'll be able to quite easily take off the cabling to slide this on. Now, this is something that you probably should have two people to do, or not necessarily do it over the tank, but I'm pretty confident. Because what you want to ensure is that you do not drop a Radion in the tank, or else it is game over. Okay, making sure it slides into place. Okay. Now, I'm just going to put this one back on. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'll secure this, and we can say that I definitely didn't drop a Radion in the tank. It's a good feeling. Okay, so now we just trim off some of the excess cabling. I like to leave a little bit just so that we can raise and lower in the future, but often I find that I do come back and chop it off. Alright. Okay, so now we'll deal with our cables and make them all nice and neat. So I've definitely set enough of these up that I should know one of the rules about setting up these Radion rails, and that is that you pass the cords for the first light through the slide of the second, and then the first and the second through the slide of the third. So I'm just taking the second and third off so that we can do that. It just makes for much neater cable management. I guess the really smart people do this on the couch, far away from the wetness of the tank. These rails look so neat when they're done properly, but it takes a fair bit of time just to get everything straight and level, and especially when you go to the effort of feeding these cords through properly, they sit in the grooves on the top side of the rail, and just getting them to sit there and then sliding the cable back across, it's time consuming, but it is definitely worth it, and we're almost done. I'm going to put the 3 Radions on the bottom 3 power points on the right hand side power board. As you saw in the last episode, you get these really neat power boards, this false wall that allows you to hide all your messy cabling basically. In future, our intention is certainly going to be to mount the transformers, to mount the controllers, things like that on the outside, and some of the things on the inside, just so that it's as neat as possible. But for now, I just want to get these lights lit up. There you go. On. Now let's plug them in. 2. Three. Look at that. Incredible. How good does it look? Absolutely beautiful. And to think, this is the smaller of the 2 Radion sizes, 3 XR15s, and you could argue that the spread is perfect. Typically if it was a reef tank, I would go for probably 3 of the XR30s, but I don't know, looking at this, it looks pretty good. Glass needs clean. Okay. So, the last thing we're going to do today is the Aquascape. Now, I'm really hoping we get it finished, but we've taken a fair bit of time getting this Radion rail perfect, so we might run out of time, but we'll show you the rock and we'll start putting it in, and hopefully we'll be able to mount our little observatory. So I'm just going to start by pretty much just dumping the rock in the tank. We use this Carob C shapes rock a lot, very easy to work with. We've got 4 boxes and a 5th if we need it. Each box has 4 pieces, I think. So, Sirius Optics have given us a very specific aquascape that they would like us to achieve. Now, with the type of rocket that we're using, this is definitely a doable aquascape. And we've got this end, this is the end that comes out, the end of the peninsula. And this is where our observatory is going to sit. Now, we've got that, I think, as it needs to be. And we've also got a drawing of it from above. There's our observatory. This is the far end. But let's have a look at whether or not our observatory is going to actually fit in the location that we want it. We have this base bit now. Well, we're a little bit, we haven't epoxied anything, so I am a little bit scared that we could have a collapse. I think, well, okay, I think like that. We might need to use some glue. This part will actually be adhered into the tank in some way, so that the observatory can, there we go, sit like that, and then the actual observatory, this top part section, will come out so that we can clean it. We'll probably bleach it off. It's a 3D printed observatory, so it's very easy to clean with a bit of bleach. But I think that'll be perfect. It's a good height. I think it matches the diagram. We've kind of got this sheer cliff at the end, and I can't wait to see the fish swimming into the observatory. It's going to be so cool. So that's it for today's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. As you can see, we have our aquascape in place. We still have some more epoxy to put through in the next few visits. And most importantly, our observatory is sitting in position. We're also going to make some changes with this. I think we're going to reduce the size of the base plate that it sits on, but it's nice to see it in the tank and really get a feel for how this tank is going to look when it's decked out with fish. We're also going to put a radio telescope down the other end, so this tank will really reflect the environment in the office of Sirius Optics. So thank you so much for watching. We'll bring you more episodes of Interstellar Installation in future episodes of Gallery Aquatica TV. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing! That's our video for today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and make sure you've subscribed to our channel so you don't miss an episode of Gallery Aquatica TV.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing!